Hello and welcome back. So continuing on with our discussion over quests or missions, NATO.
Missions or, you know.
We do have NATO joining back in. Welcome back, NATO. All right, good. Great attitude. I love it. Let's go ahead and move forward.
Kind of muted, but he's there, I promise.
In this video, we're going to start talking about
the Central Job Board.
Central Job Board.
The Jorb Board. Now, you got to understand, I'm using the term Central Job Board in a really generic sense. This is really just the idea that we have a list of missions, quests, what have you, that players are supposed to perform that's all centralized in one place.
So is this a place that, this is where we see all of the player-created quests?
Actually, this could be where you see...
NPCs could also submit where they're looking for people to perform operations.
Any quest you're not getting directly from an NPC...
would be found here.
Would be found here.
Now, since we've had that discussion over the Alethians and we're bringing them back into them as an integrated... with the possibility of an integrated society between these two races, humans and Alethians, I take it we'll see Alethian-type jobs on here available as well?
I think that depends on how far we take that integration.
Okay.
And who's going to see what.
And if the other integration didn't go far, then is there going to be a counterpart-type job board?
There would have to be.
Right. You would think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
There would have to be. Whether... go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, it makes sense on first thoughts to me that if obviously in the areas where the humans are somewhat welcome and integrated, that it all be one big thing. But if you're out in an area where the humans are hated, there's not going to be any.
Sure.
Yeah, you're not going to walk up and use human technology for accessing available jobs because they would completely despise us.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I was getting at, because I'm not necessarily talking about whether or not an Alethian job will ever appear on a human's job board, or vice versa. That could be depending on kind of where you are. Even if the two societies get heavily integrated, I still foresee a situation where you're going to have areas where that just doesn't happen. Like if you're in the downtown Alethian citadel, where just seeing a human is a disgrace, they're not even allowed to set foot, that sort of thing, then you're just not going to find it. You wouldn't find like a human
and then
style
the
kiosk.
question is, instead of some sort of related type job board in the Alethian world, would the Alethians do it that way, or would we consider them doing it some other way? The interesting thing about if the humans did a job board, it's because it's something that we would have in our society as we have now. I can go out and get the paper, I can go look on Craigslist, etc., or Monster.com for that matter. But perhaps that's just not as part of the functioning society of Alethians. That's just not how they do things.
Right.
So the interesting thing is, if they didn't do things with like some sort of centralized job board and we come up with some other mechanic for player-created quests on the Alethian side, again, it helps in pushing players to make interesting decisions, players that are playing the Alethian race. Do they want the ability to start publicizing jobs that could be taken by humans or Alethians? If so, they can't be complete haters,
right?
Because they're going to need to use human technology.
Well, sure, and it comes back to the question of, no matter how much you hate somebody, are you still willing to accept their help? Or if you want to think of it the other way, are you still willing to use them? Exactly.
Now, you're awfully quiet, Nelson. I'm not used to that. By now, I've generally heard 2 or 3 sighs and maybe 1 broken glass. You have any thoughts before Zach starts writing specifics from the Central Job Board as seen at the moment?
Not really. I mean, the idea of a central job board is fairly straightforward. The only thing is that I might want to bring up is I definitely want jobs, like we discussed before, jobs to be someone to contact you on like a radio and ask you to do something.
Absolutely. I think that's different.
I think that would be totally external to what we're talking about here.
Agreed. I absolutely love that idea, Nelson. I know when I'm in EVE and I get an email from an NPC, I'm like, ooh, look at that. He wants me to go do something cool.
I'm always annoyed by them, actually, because I usually find them like
well, that's because later. You find them a month later.
Yeah,
but if
exactly.
If EVE just took a few minutes to give you the option of having it send you a text message.
I was
going to
say, if they would just put SMS or something in EVE, I'd be so thrilled.
I'd play the game so much more because I'd be sitting here doing my thing, and all of a sudden I'd get a text message from some NPC.
Get 9,000 texts.
I don't get 9,000 emails a day.
Yeah, I get like maybe once, which is why I never check them. Actually,
yeah, it's very rare.
So it's if I just get Gulan Mufu would like to hire you for a job at this particular starport, be like, oh. crap.
It's
well, let me go log into
absolutely
Eve.
a wicked idea as far as I'm concerned. And what if jobs that were offered when an NPC was contacting you had some sort of priority level based on the importance of the job or the significance of what is being offered as far as monetary compensation or rewards, and then you had the ability to say, look, if it's anything over, let's say jobs went from level 1 to 10 as far as priority goes, anything over 7, I want to get a text message about this.
Sure.
And then if it's just like, hey, I noticed that you happen to be in the area, dude, and if you want to clean up some garbage around my land, I'll pay you 12 credits. That's a level 1 priority job or something. And, well, you wouldn't want to get a text message about something like that.
There you go. We should totally have
But
that.
but I am saying, all joking aside about cleaning up the trash, though, if anybody does want to make $12, I do have a yard that needs to be cleaned right now. The idea of receiving SMS messages from Eve, for me right now, would be very attractive because I do find it cool when I'm in the game and I get an email from an NPC who's like contacting me. It's like, wow, it's just an interesting feeling. It's like this NPC knows how to use the system. He knows how to email and tell me to come over there or to bring him something, and I like that. It's something different than in WoW you get messages from NPCs, but it's not to go and do stuff. It's like, congratulations, here's your alcohol beverage of the month. Congratulations, here's a new animal you just won because you've collected 12 of, or all of these kinds of animals or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Actually, not to. I don't really want to beat that horse completely into the ground, but if you were going to take that route, it would also be nice if you had an internal routing system where you could allow certain players access to it without ever actually having to hand out your real phone number. Mm-hmm. So you could say, allow this this player to be able to contact me via SMS. So what they're doing is they're sending a message to you through the in-game system. Mm-hmm. And the in-game system routes it out. The neat thing about that is you can get a tie into the real world without ever taking some person you may have never met and who might be a psycho, who knows. Yeah. And they don't really have, your text messaging number.
Sure.
Which is kind of cool. Anyway, that's kind of...
And all of that would be sheltered on the server, and you as a player would have the ability to control, if your friends or who...
what groups can do this and which ones can't.
Can contact you. But the bottom line, something that we will see coming up more and more in the future, will be integration between our mobile devices and these MMO virtual worlds. We're already seeing it now with World of Warcraft. Thank heavens that they now, let you go in and manage your auctions.
Like the mobile auction house.
That's right. With the World of Warcraft Armory on the iPhone, and I think it's finally available. It's been available for a little while for the Android as well.
Did they let you do it on the web yet?
I honestly don't know because I haven't
that.
tried it. I think, but I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I had to step away from World of Warcraft for a while for obvious reasons.
But I find that very cool. When I was playing the game, hardcore, Zach will tell you, I pay the, what is it, $1.99, $2.99 a month.
Something like that, yeah.
It's a small fee, and it just kept me from having to log into the game, but I was able to keep an eye on market prices and when I should, sell stuff and collect my money, and I could do all of that from my phone.
I was going to say, making WoW gold in the bathroom.
Yep, I have.
And that was pretty cool.
And it's cool. We're going to see stronger and stronger integration. They came out with an updated Armory not too terribly long ago that now integrates more of the guild perks and the guild system now into your mobile device. You also now have the ability to do chat. So from inside WoW Armory, you can chat with the guild while you're not actually logged into the game, but you're just, again, on a mobile device out and about for the day. So it's some really cool stuff. We're going to see it happening more and more, and as far as I'm concerned, right out the gate, I'd love to see us doing it a lot. I think it would be nice, since we're talking about having a centralized, dynamic job board driven by real human players. It'd be absolutely wicked to pick up my iPhone or my Android and log into it and start flipping through this, high-tech Blade Runner style looking job board at jobs that are available.
Well, I wanted to throw this out there. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead,
please,
Kevin.
Gavin.
I was just going to say, and also the more, because we're pushing for a lot of very interconnected systems in this game, and the more of that we do, and the more of that we can pull off, the more necessary it's going to be for somebody to access the game only for brief moments, maybe, like when they're waiting at a bus stop. But just there's going to be so many different aspects to playing the game that it's going to be virtually a necessity that you can pretty much access it from just by thinking, oh God, I need to do this. And it happens in the game. If we can get some sort of mental telepathy system going, that would be good. But mobile connectivity as a sort of an interim step would be
exactly. And like I said, we're going to see that more and more as MMOs continue to mature over the years.
Absolutely.
Nelson. Oh, I'm sorry, Zach. Go ahead and get your thought on that.
Well, I was just going to say, we were previously talking about some kind of societal concerns.
Sure.
Like how a central job board for the humans would be balanced against the Alethians. And while I don't necessarily think that every single gameplay mechanic element that applies to humans necessarily has to apply to the Alethians and vice versa, they don't necessarily have to be the same game with where you just replace the word technology with magic on one side, which is very much like what World of Warcraft does with the Horde and the Alliance.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way. At the same time, something like a job board is a delicate matter because that could directly reflect how easy it is to level up your character. And if that's not balanced, there will be blood in the streets.
Sure, but you know they could also keep their job boards more of like a posting center that's confined more to small villages that the Alethians have. Because we're talking about, for us, jacking in and looking.
I think the presentation of the Alethian job, but I think this is an area of the game, I think, Zach, you're absolutely right on this, where it almost needs to be
kind of a direct
cosmetic difference, but a direct correlation in terms of the way the game works. Because of, as you say, it's going to be a fundamental feature to anything beyond just playing the given campaign. Will be finding work. But societal concerns is a good point, though, because the first thing that occurred to me is, well, how much movement is there in Alethian society? Are they sort of a caste-based system that don't even speak to people in the next valley? Or are they, if there's a lot of movement in society, like there tends to be in human society, then the idea of a central job board will almost de facto have occurred to them because that's, you need it. You turn up somewhere new. You need to find somewhere to live, somewhere to work, and some way of, getting some earnings. But if, on the other hand, there are much more, like the sort of our view, how films always portray ye olden times, where, but it kind of was true to an extent. I mean, you see it in this country because it's such a small country. There are, in the north, there's valleys where there's completely different accents, there's different words, different dialects on opposite sides of a hill, because from until the 20th century, no one moved anywhere. You were limited to about 20 miles a day, in terms of how far you could get, so no one moved around. In that case, I don't know, the presentation of it feels like it should be different. I don't know, what do you think, Chris? Do you see what I'm getting at?
Well, let's do this real quick, because we're again trying to keep these videos on the 10-minute mark. We're already heading in on 14 minutes. Let's go ahead and pick this up in the next video, and that'll give us a fresh 10 minutes to work with. So hold that thought, Chris, and we will pick up in just a second, guys.